and world economic system. Today I shall talk about the trade bloc, that is ASEAN and the NAFTA. So I'm sharing my PowerPoint screen with you for your reference. You have to just confirm me once I ask you regarding the same. Is it visible to you now?
No, sir.
No, sir.
It should be visible,
Now
Yes,
right?
sir.
visible, sir.
Yes, sir. Now
Yes,
visible.
sir.
Yes.
Now visible.
Okay. So in my previous sessions, I had talked about the European Unions. Then I have mentioned about OECD, that is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. I also gave you the overview of OPEC, that is the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. And I also mentioned about SAARC, that is the South Asian Association for the Regional Cooperation. Today, in continuation with the trade bloc, we are going to learn about what is ASEAN. It is also pronounced as ASEAN. And what are the major objectives of ASEAN? So the full form of ASEAN, it is the acronym for Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Presently, there are 10 member countries for this particular ASEAN. That is Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, Singapore, Indonesia, Laos, Vietnam, Malaysia, Philippines, and Brunei Darussalam. Let's understand about the ASEAN in detail. ASEAN, as I said, it is the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. It is a regional grouping that promotes the economic, political, and security cooperation amongst its 10 members. That is the Brunei, it is also pronounced as the Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. It was established on 8th of August 1967 in Bangkok, that is in Thailand, with the signing of the ASEAN Declaration, that is also called as the Bangkok Declaration, by the founding fathers of ASEAN, namely Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and the Thailand. ASEAN countries, they have a total population of 650 million people and the combined gross domestic product of around 2.8 trillion US dollars. This group has played a central role in Asian economic integration, spearheading the negotiation amongst the Asia Pacific nations to form one of the most uh, largest free trade blocs of the world and signing 6 free trade agreements with the other regional economies. So this is the contribution of ASEAN. Brunei Darussalam, it joined on 7th of January 1984. Vietnam joined on 23rd of July 1997. Cambodia joined on 30th of April 1999, making up the total 10 member states of ASEAN at present. Now, as we speak about this ASEAN, the establishment of ASEAN empowers the members and the economies to share their resources like manpower, technical know-how, and the economic policies for developing a sense of cohesiveness. It also promotes the integrated work to attain the economic growth and progress in the primary sectors of the economy. The primary sectors of the economy are your agriculture, service, and the industry. This formation of ASEAN took place after the origin and success of European Union and the NAFTA, which I am going to tell you later. This skilled and highly educated manpower of the member countries of ASEAN helped them to achieve a rapid industrialization and the economic growth. ASEAN member countries are rich in resources, like for example, they have mineral oils, then they have agricultural and industrial goods, and they are free to exchange the resources and foreign capital among each other for developing their economies. So The ASEAN actually regularly engages with other countries in Asia Pacific region and beyond. This ASEAN is a major partner of Shanghai Cooperation Organization. It maintains a global network of alliances and the dialogues, partners, and is considered by many as a global powerhouse. Their motto is one vision, one identity, and one community. There are four pillars of ASEAN community. The 10 member states strictly follow this particular principle. First, single market and production base. There should be a single market for all, and there has to be a base for production so that you can support the industry, economy, and agriculture. Then the competitive economic region, as I said, they are rich in resources, so they provide a great competition in terms of their product and richness in their particular things, whatever they are exporting to other countries. Then they offer the equitable economic development to all the member countries and integration in the globalized economy. Like NAFTA and the European Union, ASEAN member nations are also focused on facilitating the international trade and the investments. In September 1994, ASEAN Free Trade Area, that is also called as AFTA, came into existence. The ASEAN Free Trade Area was established by the Association of Southeast Asian Nations to provide assistance to the local manufacturers of the ASEAN countries. Here you have seen the flag of ASEAN on the right hand side of this particular screen. This is the flag of ASEAN and these are the member countries with their particular flags on the particular geographical map. Now, talking about the objectives, this ASEAN declaration has got certain aims and purposes. Number one is to accelerate the economic growth, the social progress, and cultural development in the region through joint endeavors in the spirit of equality and partnership, in order to strengthen and foundation for a prosperous and peaceful community of Southeast Asian nations. They also promote the regional peace and stability through abiding respect for the justice and the rule of law in the relationship among the countries of the region and adherence to the principles of the United Nations Charter. ASEAN is regularly involved in promoting the activities like collaboration and mutual assistance on matters of common interest in the economic, social, cultural, technical, scientific, and administrative fields. They also provide the assistance to each other in the form of training and research facilities in the educational, professional, technical, and administrative areas. They also collaborate more effectively for greater utilization of their agricultural resources and the industries, the expansion of their trade, including the study of the problems of international commodity trade, helping in the improvement of their transportation and communication facilities, and thereby raising the standards of the living of the people. ASEAN is also involved in promoting the Southeast Asian studies, and their purpose is to maintain close and beneficial cooperation with existing international and regional organizations with similar aims, purposes, and explore all the avenues for even closer cooperation amongst the members. The things which I have told you just now, it is indicated in the website of ASEAN, that is www.asean.org. Under the About tab, under Overview section, you will find all these objectives which are written in the website. Now, moving ahead, let us understand about the next trade bloc, that is NAFTA. The full form of NAFTA, it is North American Free Trade Agreement, and it is a comprehensive trade agreement that formulates the rules of the trade and investment between three countries: Canada, United States, and Mexico. Since the agreement came into effect on 1st of January 1994, NAFTA has systematically removed most of the tariffs and non-tariff barriers to promote the free trade and the investments between the three member countries of the NAFTA. As I stated, the three member countries are United States, Canada, and Mexico. You can see their particular flags also on their particular logo. Now, NAFTA is also a prime example of how the liberalization of trade increases the wealth and competitiveness, delivers the real benefits to the families, the farmers, the workers, manufacturers, and the consumers. NAFTA is a formal agreement which establishes the clear rules for the commercial activities between Canada, United States, and the Mexico. NAFTA is administered by a number of institutions that ensures the proper interpretation and the smooth implementation of the agreement's provisions. Since NAFTA came into effect, the levels of trade and investment in North America have increased, bringing strong economic growth, creating the employment opportunities, and offering better quality products at lower prices. The general public of North America, including the businessmen, workers, families, farmers, and consumers, all have got benefited from this agreement. And this agreement helps the firms by offering them the advanced technologies, financial investments in some cases, the efficient manpower, and better access to the resources across the North America. NAFTA had formulated more than 30 working groups and the committees for encouraging the trade and investment activities and also for facilitating proper execution and management of the trade area. The key work areas in NAFTA include the trade in the goods, the rules of origin, customs, agricultural trade and the subsidies, then standards, government procurement, investment and services, cross-border movement of business people, and alternative dispute resolution. Whatever I have read, it is given just now. I have seen it is given in the website of NAFTA, that is www.naftanow.org. You can find all these information which I have just explained you. There is nothing from my end. It is as it is. Whatever is given in the website, I have just tried to explain you. Now, NAFTA is basically reduced or they have reduced or eliminated the tariffs on the imports and the exports between the three participating countries, and they have thereby created a huge free trade zone for the three member countries. Talking about NAFTA, the two-side agreements to the NAFTA aim to establish the common standards in workplace safety, the labor rights and environmental protection to prevent the businesses from relocating to other countries to exploit the lower wages or to the looser regulations. तो यहाँ पर क्या किया, आपको benefits provide किए गए as an industry so that आप यहाँ पे रुक के काम करें. इन तीन कंट्रीज के अंडर में वर्क प्लेस सेफ्टी प्रोवाइड की गई, लेबर राइट्स प्रोवाइड किए गए, इन्वायरमेंट प्रोटेक्शन के ऊपर काम किया गया और बिजनेसेस को रीलोकेट होने से कैसे रोका जाए जिससे कि वो दूसरे कंट्री में जाके लोअर वेजेस या लूजर रेगुलेशन को एक्सप्लॉइट कर सकें, उस पर वर्कआउट किया गया. यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स मैक्सिको एंड कनाडा एग्रीमेंट, that is called as USMCA, which was signed on November 13 to 2018 and went into full force on 1st of July 2020, had replaced the NAFTA. So 1st of July 2020 से United States Mexico Canada agreement applicable हो गया है. NAFTA was a controversial agreement by some measures like trade growth and investment. US बहुत strong हो रहा था, Mexico on the other hand वहां से migration चालू था, right? It improved the US economy, by others employment, balance of trade, but it has hurted the other economies of other two countries. NAFTA provisions were supplemented by two other regulations. These are the North American Agreement on the Environmental Cooperation, that is NAAEC, and the North American Agreement on Labor Cooperation, which is called as NAALC in short. These tangential agreements were intended to prevent the businesses from relocating to other countries to exploit the lower wages, as I just explained, and more lenient worker health and safety regulations and looser environmental regulation. Normally industrialists do that. They try to search for those particular places which are heaven for them in terms of saving taxes, and where the working conditions are very much lenient, and there are no labor laws, or the labor laws are also very relaxed. So the aim of NAFTA was just to strengthen all these kind of things, and that is what I just want to explain you in the objectives of the NAFTA. So understanding the objectives of NAFTA, that is given in the Article 102 of NAFTA agreement, to first of all to eliminate the restrictions to the trade and facilitate the cross-border movement of goods and the services between the territories of the parties. The second objectives of NAFTA is to promote the conditions of fair competition in the free trade area. The third important objective is to increase the sustainability and to work on the environmental related areas. Fourth is to provide adequate and effective protection and enforcement of intellectual property rights in each party's territory. Next is to increase the substantially investment opportunities in the territories of the parties. Next objective is to create effective procedures for the implementation and agreement of application of the agreement, for the joint administration and for the resolution of the disputes. And lastly, to establish a framework for the further trilateral, regional and multilateral corporations for expanding and enhancing the benefits of the agreement. These all objectives are given in the website, that is www.nafta.sec.alena.org. You will find all the details. Shall I go ahead now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any questions from anyone?
सर इसमें इस पे एमसीक्यू में क्या आ सकते हैं ये सर, इतने सारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन तो इतने सारे याद रखने पड़ेंगे सर.
MCQ में when was it established, how many member countries are there, which of the following is not the function of NAFTA, which of the following is not the function of a trade bloc, all these questions will come. Which of the following is not a member country of NAFTA, which of the following related to this particular trade bloc is not correct. As you know that by now that all these trade blocs are here to support your trade related activities, to strengthen the cooperation especially in the areas of the trade, and to provide equal opportunities to everyone. And for that purpose many countries have signed an agreement, either between the member countries or between the companies. These agreements are helping out, so they are working for removal of the trade barriers, coordination and bargaining power, economic considerations, increased returns sometimes, then trade gains we can call it sometimes. It is also helping in increasing the investments and providing more security to the people, those who are engaged in the trade. So these are the questions which can come. The full form, when was it established, which act has replaced this particular act, which are the following is not the member country, which of the following is not the objective of the trade bloc. Especially they may ask related to one particular trade bloc. It could be OPEC, it could be EU, it could be your SAARC, or it could be your NAFTA, anything, or it could be your ASEAN. So you should be prepared with that. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir. Got it, sir.
Okay. So I'm moving ahead. Now let us try to understand the threats to the open trading system. Open trading system का मतलब क्या होता है? जब आप खुल के कहीं पर भी बिजनेस कर सकते हैं, जब आपको कोई रोक टोक नहीं है, there are no restrictions. So उस टाइम पे क्या प्रॉब्लम्स हो सकती हैं? जैसा कि आप जानते हैं जब ओपन ट्रेड होता है तो उतना ही रिस्क भी बढ़ जाता है. कल को अगर कोई फॉर एग्जांपल अगर किसी ने आपका पैसा मार लिया या किसी ने आपसे बिजनेस करने के लिए कमिट किया, आपको बोला कि आप इतना प्रोड्यूस करिए और हम आपसे खरीदेंगे, लास्ट मोमेंट पे उसने बोल दिया कि आई वोंट परचेज इट फ्रॉम यू, आई हैव गॉट अनदर सप्लायर. सो हु इज गोइंग टू प्रोटेक्ट दोज इंटरेस्ट? सो अंडरस्टैंडिंग अबाउट द थ्रेट्स टू द ओपन ट्रेडिंग सिस्टम, द फर्स्ट वन is the protectionist measure. As we know that international business is well supported by the concept of laissez-faire. No doubt, it has helped in improving the economic conditions of many nations. Also, the barrier to the trade has been lowered. The profit margins have increased, and it has given the way for others to export. It has also promoted the setting up of the subsidiaries in the foreign nations with the help of the FDI, as I gave you a lot of examples. And India is now leading in top 5 countries in terms of the foreign direct investments in 2021. It is vital to know how the business alliances, the global operations of multinational corporations, and the economic scenario of the domestic and foreign countries are affected by the international trade. सो इंटरनेशनल ट्रेड की अगर बात की जाती है तो सबसे पहला इसका थ्रेट है प्रोटेक्शनिस्ट मेजर, दैट इज कंपटीशन फ्रॉम द प्रोडक्ट्स ऑफ अदर कंट्रीज इन द होम कंट्रीज लीड टू सच मेजर्स। लोग अपने प्रोडक्ट को अपनी इकोनॉमी को बचाने के लिए वो बोलते हैं कि फॉरेन कंट्रीज के प्रोडक्ट को बाइकआउट करो, उनको यूज मत करो, फॉरेन कंपनीज को आने मत दो। इसकी वजह से क्या होता है, वो अपने आप को एक क्लोज बाउंड्री में एक कैद कर लेते हैं, जिससे बाहर की कंपनीज वहां पर ट्रेड नहीं कर सकती। चाइना ने अपने यहाँ पर अपनी कंट्री में फेसबुक को और यूट्यूब को ब्लॉक करके रखा है, वहां पर व्हाट्सएप नहीं चलता, वहां पर वीचैट चलता है, वहां पर यूट्यूब नहीं है, और उसके बाद भी उन लोगों ने अपना एक सिस्टम बनाया। तो प्रोटेक्शनिस्ट मेजर हो जाते हैं। ओपन ट्रेडिंग सिस्टम की हम बात तो करते हैं, बट देन देयर आर सर्टेन कंट्रीज which goes totally protectionist against the foreign products and the foreign companies. The next point is the regionalism, that is the formation of custom unions and the free trade agreements are examples of such challenges. आपस में 4 कंट्रीज ने मिलकर एग्रीमेंट कर लिया कि हम आपस में ट्रेडिंग करेंगे, तो आपस में कुछ भी ट्रेड टैरिफ वगैरह नहीं लगाएंगे, लेकिन अगर दूसरे कंट्री का कोई भी आता है बिजनेस करने या एक्सपोर्ट करता है तो हम उसमें बहुत सारे टैरिफ्स लगा देंगे, ड्यूटीज लगा देंगे। तो ये रीजनलिज्म होता है। नेक्स्ट इज द नॉन टैरिफ बैरियर्स। नॉन टैरिफ बैरियर्स आर पोजिंग अ वेरी सीरियस थ्रेट टू द ओपन ट्रेडिंग सिस्टम इन द एंटायर वर्ल्ड। दीज आर basically any rules which dictate how a product can be manufactured, handled or advertised. A non-tariff barrier is any measure other than the custom tariff that act as a barrier to the international trade. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अदर रेगुलेशंस कि किसी भी कंट्री में प्रोडक्ट को किस तरीके से बनाना है, कैसे सेल करना है, उसके लिए रूल्स अलग अलग होते हैं। हर कंट्री के अलग अलग रूल होते हैं। किस तरीके से एडवर्टीजमेंट करना है, उसके भी रूल अलग अलग होते हैं। कैसे प्रोडक्ट को हैंडल करना है, फॉर दैट ऑल्सो द रूल्स आर डिफरेंट एंड दीज आर कॉल्ड एज नॉन टैरिफ बैरियर्स। रूल्स ऑफ ओरिजिन का एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंस है। रूल्स ऑफ ओरिजिन मीन्स रूल्स विच रिक्वायर द प्रूफ ऑफ विच कंट्री गुड्स वर प्रोड्यूस्ड इन। अभी आपको लिख के उसमें बैटरी मैन्युफैक्चर कर रहे हैं या फोन मैन्युफैक्चर कर रहे हैं तो आपको उसमें लिखना होता है ये फिनलैंड में बना है, ताइवान में बना है, चाइना में बना है कि कहां पर बना है। तो ये सारी चीजें नॉन टैरिफ बैरियर्स के फॉर्म में आ जाती हैं। द लास्ट पॉइंट इज द सेक्टर स्पेसिफिक बैरियर्स, दैट इज टू प्रोटेक्ट द एग्रीकल्चर इन द होम कंट्री। फॉर एग्जांपल द प्रोडक्ट फ्रॉम अदर इकोनॉमीज आर डिस्करेज्ड, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज सेक्टर स्पेसिफिक बैरियर्स। इज इट क्लियर टू ऑल?
यस सर।
So in a very nice manner, in a very simplest manner, I have just tried to explain you the 4 points for which there are 70 to 80 pages in a book which are given. So I have just tried to give you the gist. Now you will understand what are these measures, what are the threats to the open trading system. As of now, I am moving ahead. If you have any doubts, any confusions, you can ask me later also. Now let us try to understand the old and new theories of international trade. Here the theories are in front of you. These theories we will learn, and these are very important theories for you to understand about the international trade practices. First one is called as the absolute difference in the cost theory. Second one is the theory of comparative cost. Third one is called as factor proportion theory. Fourth one is called as mercantilism theory. Fifth one is called as national competitive theories. So these theory we are going to understand now. The first one is the absolute difference in the cost theory of international trade. Now, as we talk about this particular theory, this theory was actually given by Adam Smith, and you know that Adam Smith has been also considered as the father of which particular subject?
Sir, economics.
Yes, exactly. He is the father of economics. So Adam Smith came up with this particular theory, and he was a Scottish moral philosopher and also a pioneer of political economy. He stated that the trade between the two nations depends on the absolute advantage. Now, when one nation is more efficient than the other in the production of one commodity, but is less efficient than the other in the production of second commodity, then both the nations can gain by each specializing in the production of its absolute advantage and exchanging part of its output with the other country for the commodity of its absolute disadvantage. इसको मैं एक्सप्लेन करना चाहूंगा एक एग्जांपल के थ्रू कि एडम स्मिथ एक्चुअली कहना क्या चाहते थे। देखिए, एडम स्मिथ ने कहा कि फॉर एग्जांपल देयर आर टू कंट्रीज ए और बी। ए कंट्री जो है वो टी मैन्युफैक्चर कर रही है विच इज बेटर फ्रॉम कंट्री बी विच इज मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कॉफी। ड्यू टू द एफिशिएंसी ऑफ कंट्री ए इन प्रोड्यूसिंग द टी, it will take less time to produce the tea than the country B, and the same will happen with the country B also. They will produce coffee much faster as compared to country A. Now अभी क्या होता है, एक कंट्री टी बना रही है, एक कंट्री कॉफी बना रही है, दोनों को उसमें स्पेशलाइजेशन है। Now अगर उसको अल्टरनेटिवली देखा जाए, rather than taking higher time in producing coffee, the country A will prefer to import it from country B. Likewise, the country B will prefer to import the tea from country A because it is going to take more time and more cost. So here in this particular example, the country A will end up in importing the coffee and exporting the tea, and country B will end up in importing the tea and exporting the coffee. This is what called as the absolute cost theory in this particular simplest example. समझ में आया आप लोगों को?
Yes sir.
एब्सोल्यूट कॉस्ट एडवांटेज यही कहता है तुम्हारे पास जो है उस पर फोकस करो, जो नहीं है उसको मंगवा लो, और जो है उसको बाहर जो एडिशनल सरप्लस है उसको दूसरे को दे दो। सो दैट इज कॉल्ड एज द थ्योरी एब्सोल्यूट कॉस्ट एडवांटेज थ्योरी। नाउ थ्योरी ऑफ कंपैरेटिव कॉस्ट डिफरेंस, दिस इज द सेकंड थ्योरी, थ्योरी ऑफ कंपैरेटिव कॉस्ट। अभी डेविड रिकार्डो ने इस थ्योरी को दिया था। He agrees to the study of the absolute difference theory. However, it explains one of the drawbacks of the theory of the absolute difference. There are certain assumptions to this particular theory, and assumptions, as you know that in economics there are always and everywhere there are assumptions. So let us try to understand what these assumptions are. Number one, the supply curve for any goods is horizontal. Supply horizontal है curve. There is full employment in the economy, perfect competition in the product and market, no governmental intervention in the form of restriction to the free trade, zero transport cost, labor is the only primary output to the production, the relative ratios of the labor at which the production of one can be traded off for another differ between the countries, fixed technology, no change in the technology. Then every country has a fixed endowment of resources where all units of a particular resource are identical. The factors of production are perfectly mobile between the alternative productions within a country, and factors of productions are immobile between the countries. ये सारे assumptions आपको अभी देख के समझ में आ गया कि एक hypothetical case है। ऐसा रियल में कभी नहीं हो सकता कि फुल एम्प्लॉयमेंट हो, सप्लाई कर्व हॉरिजॉन्टल हो, फिक्स टेक्नोलॉजी हो, ट्रांसपोर्ट कॉस्ट जीरो हो। बट देन उसके बाद उन्होंने ये थ्योरी दी। जानने की कोशिश करते हैं कि इस थ्योरी में एक्चुअली वो बताना क्या चाहते थे डेविड रिकार्डो। तो अकॉर्डिंग टू डेविड रिकार्डो, द ट्रेड बिटवीन द टू कंट्रीज कैन बी जॉइंटली एडवांटेजियस as long as the difference in the competitive advantage breathes between the production of the two commodities. He believed that the international trade is mutually profitable even when one of the countries can produce every commodity more cheaply than the other. अब मैं इसको भी एग्जांपल देके समझाने की कोशिश करता हूं। सपोज करिए देयर आर टू कंट्रीज ए एंड बी। द कंट्री ए प्रोड्यूसेस 1 यूनिट ऑफ क्लॉथ एंड इन एन आवर। द कंट्री बी प्रोड्यूसेस 1 यूनिट ऑफ क्लॉथ इन 2 आवर्स। दो कंट्री हैं, एक कंट्री एक यूनिट क्लोथ प्रोड्यूस कर रहा है 1 घंटे में, दूसरा कंट्री एक यूनिट क्लोथ प्रोड्यूस कर रहा है 2 घंटे में. In the same way, the country A produces 1 unit of chips in 3 hours and country B produces 1 unit of chips in 4 hours. ठीक है, एक कंट्री चिप्स प्रोड्यूस कर रहा है 3 घंटे में 1 यूनिट और दूसरा कंट्री 4 घंटे में प्रोड्यूस कर रहा है. Now here the country A has an absolute cost advantage in the production of both the commodities because it requires lesser labor hours in the production of clothes and the chips, which is 1 hour per unit of the cloth and 3 hours per unit of the chips. This shows that the country A is twice as productive as the country B in cloth production, whereas in chips production it is only 4/3 times as productive as the country B. Hence, the country A has the higher comparative advantage in production of the cloth. समझ में आया? क्लोथ के लिए उसने सेलेक्ट किया क्योंकि उसके पास में कंपैरेटिव एडवांटेज दूसरे कंट्री से ज्यादा था. क्लियर हुआ ये एग्जांपल आप लोगों को?
यस सर.
Yes, sir.
क्या हो
Yes,
गया?
sir.
आज पूरी क्लास शांत है. See, these are the
Yes.
pure theory principles. You have to go with me, go with the words and go with the examples. Everything I cannot put up in the PowerPoint presentation. It will make too text bulky. So you have to go with what I am asking you. If you respond me positively, it will help me to understand that yes, you are also getting the point in that same way. Now, there is a third theory that is called as the factor proportion theory for the international trade. Now, according to Ellie Hexker and Bertil Ohlin, they came up with the factor proportion theory. They said that it is not only the technological differences that promote the international trade, but also the factor endowments. You will understand what factor endowments are. So the capital abundant nations will tend to specialize in the production of capital intensive goods. Like for example, America. They produce more of the capital intensive goods and export the product, while the labor abundant nations will tend to specialize in the labor intensive goods and export that product. जहां पर लेबर की ज्यादा जरूरत है वो लेबर इंटेंसिव कंट्रीज वो अपने उन गुड्स को ज्यादा एक्सपोर्ट करेगी. Therefore, it is possible for both the two trading economies to consume more of both the goods than in the absence of the trade, and consecutively both the countries will gain from the trade. Example देता हूं फैक्टर प्रोपोर्शन थ्योरी का. एक हाइपोथेटिकल एग्जांपल है बट समझने की कोशिश करिए. So in the case of capital abundant country, the cost of capital will be relatively low because उनके पास में कैपिटल बहुत है. अमेरिका, जापान, इनके पास में कैपिटल बहुत है, बहुत लोग रिच हैं. As a consequence, the cost of production of the capital intensive product and its price will be relatively very low. The opposite will be all in the labor abundant countries. The wages will be relatively low and the cost of the labor intensive product will be relatively low. Differences in relative prices of the two goods will lead to the trade. Both the countries will produce more of the good on which they have a comparative advantage. The capital abundant country will tend to specialize in the production of the capital intensive goods and export its product to the other countries, whereas the labor abundant country will tend to specialize in the labor intensive goods and export that product to the other countries. यही ये थ्योरी बोलना चाहती है. समझ में आया?
यस सर.
Others are requested to kindly give me the feedback, please.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. तो बात करते हैं नेक्स्ट थ्योरी की, which is again very important. That is your mercantilism. मर्केंटाइल लॉ इसी से आया है, आप लोगों ने पढ़ा होगा ग्रेजुएशन में जिसने कॉमर्स से किया है या बीबीए
Yes, sir.
वगैरह किया है. मर्केंटाइल लॉ. सो ये क्या बताता है? ये थ्योरी एक्चुअली 1500 सेंचुरी के आसपास आई, as there was a rise in the nation states and also the rulers of these states wanted to strengthen their nations. The only way to do so was by progressing the export and the trade. Due to this, the rulers were able to collect more capital for their respective nations. They boosted the exports by putting the limitations on the import of goods and services. This approach is called as protectionism and it is even used in the contemporary time. So mercantilism जो है ये बहुत पुरानी थ्योरी है. 1500 सेंचुरी में जब रूलर्स राजा लोग किंग्स वगैरह हुआ करते थे, ये क्या करते थे डिक्टेटर्स वगैरह, ये अपने यहाँ पर अपने कंट्री में इंपोर्ट को कंट्रोल कर देते थे. कहते थे बाहर से कुछ नहीं आएगा, जो है वो यहीं का हम एक्सपोर्ट कर सकते हैं. एक्सपोर्ट करने में क्या होता है, आपको पैसा मिलता है, कैपिटल आएगा तो और ज्यादा रिसोर्सेज बनेंगे, बट इंपोर्ट करेंगे तो आपका पैसा बाहर जाएगा. तो ये मर्केंटिलिज्म था. समझ में आया? आज भी कुछ कंट्रीज कुछ चीजों में रेगुलेट करने की कोशिश करती हैं. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल जब वैक्सीन स्टार्ट हुई लगना, तो उस टाइम पे अमेरिका वाज द फर्स्ट कंट्री which had got the vaccines approved from WHO. These were your Pfizer and Moderna. Initially उन्होंने बोला अमेरिका फर्स्ट पॉलिसी, सबसे पहले अमेरिकन सिटीजन्स को लगेगी हम इसको एक्सपोर्ट नहीं करेंगे. आज भी ये मर्केंटिलिज्म अप्लाई होता है कुछ सेक्टर्स में, जब रेयर होती हैं कुछ चीजें, जब आपको लगता है कि इसका कंजम्पशन अपने कंट्री में ही हो जाए तो ज्यादा अच्छा है. इंडिया ने भी वैक्सीन का एक्सपोर्ट रोक दिया था एक टाइम पे, जस्ट बिकॉज दे वांटेड टू मीट द डिमांड which was coming from the different states. Is it clear to all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So mercantilism यही है. Then you can see on the screen national competitive theory. रेड कलर में ये हाईलाइटेड है, नेशनल कॉम्पिटिटिव थ्योरी. ये बेसिकली क्या है, माइकल पोर्टर ने इस थ्योरी को दिया था एंड ये मॉडर्न टाइम की थ्योरी है. It states that the qualities of the home country are essential for the success of the corporation. So the theory is in the shape of the diamond. एक diamond के shape में इन्होंने theory को दिया था. It explains the factors that influence the success of the organization. And there are 6 model factors in this theory, which are also called as the determinants. ये 6 model जो इन्होंने इस theory में दिए माइकल पोर्टर ने, these are the factor condition number 1. Factor means land, labor and capital. उसकी क्या condition है? Number 2, the demand condition. Market में demand क्या है? Number 3, the related and supporting industries. आपकी ancillary industries अगर well developed होगी तो आपका cost of production कम हो जाएगा. For example, automobile companies, when they are manufacturing the vehicles, that time they are relying mostly on the ancillary industries, which are supplying them with the spare parts, component parts. And if they are well developed, efficient, then the cost of production will be minimized. So this is one of the thing. Now, as I talked about the factor condition, demand condition, related and supporting industry, the fourth is firm strategy. What is your strategy? Whether you want to maximize your wealth, whether you want to gain the market share, whether you want to become the leader, all these strategies could lead to your competition. Then the structure of the organization, structure of the competition also, pure competition, monopoly, monopolistic, oligopolistic competition, all these things are important. Rivalry, आपकी लोगों के साथ, competitors के साथ कितनी rivalry है. For example, Hindustan Unilever is always competing with other brands like ITC from India and Procter and Gamble from America. And last one is the government. तो ये जो फैक्टर्स थे उन्होंने क्लियरली डिफाइन किए कि ये 6 फैक्टर है. फैक्टर कंडीशन, डिमांड कंडीशन, रिलेटेड एंड सपोर्टिंग इंडस्ट्रीज, फर्म स्ट्रेटजी, स्ट्रक्चर एंड राइवलरी, चांसेस एंड द गवर्नमेंट. तो यहाँ पर उन्होंने ये नेशनल कॉम्पिटिटिव थ्योरी दी. अब जब बात करते हैं नेशनल कॉम्पिटिटिव थ्योरी की, तो इसमें टर्म्स ऑफ ट्रेड एंड ऑफर कर्व एक आता है. Terms of trade is basically the international price ratio. It is the ratio of the price of exports to the price of imports. In the case of the two trading countries, because one country's imports are another's exports, the terms of trade of one country are just the inverse of the terms of trade of the other country. So the domestic equivalent of the terms of trade for a private individual is the price of the things sold by the individuals divided by the cost of the things bought. The terms of the trade for a private individual is the nominal real wage divided by the price index or the cost of living. Now, the next term under this theory is the offer curve. Offer curve is also called as the reciprocal demand curve of the country. The curve shows the number of imports and the exports that a country is willing to buy को कोशिश करूंगा कि आप उसको समझेंगे। देखिए, दो कंट्रीज हैं, एक कंट्री जो है वो इंपोर्ट कर रही है और दूसरी एक्सपोर्ट कर रही है। तो यहां पर क्या हो रहा है, जो टर्म्स ऑफ ट्रेड है, जो एक्सपोर्ट कर रही है कंट्री वो दूसरी कंट्री के लिए इंपोर्ट के टर्म्स बन जाएंगे, और जो इंपोर्ट कर रही कंट्री वो उसका जो टर्म्स ऑफ ट्रेड है वो दूसरी कंट्री के लिए एक्सपोर्ट ट्रेड का एग्रीमेंट या टर्म्स बन जाएगा। तो यही यहां पर मेंशन किया गया है। क्लियर हुआ? कोई डाउट्स किसी को?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. So as I have explained you the theories, I hope that you are now very well versed with that, and if in exam the things will be asked, I don't think so कि question इसमें से आएगा theory से, इसीलिए मैं इसको jump कर रहा हूँ। क्यों? क्योंकि मैंने आप लोगों को जो कुछ भी अभी बताया है ये theories के ऊपर पूरी एक मोटी बुक है 800-900 पेज की, और 800-900 पेज की बुक आप पढ़ने नहीं जाओगे। तो आई जस्ट ट्राई टू गिव यू द जिस्ट कि होता क्या है। ठीक है, तो अभी के लिए आज के लिए इतना बहुत है। आगे मैं आपको नेक्स्ट टॉपिक आपको कवर कराऊंगा, एंड आफ्टर दैट दिस पर्टिकुलर यूनिट विल बी ओवर। देख लेते हैं अभी जो लास्ट टॉपिक बचा है वो आपका क्या है। सो द टॉपिक विल बी the developments in the international trade theory we have covered, the bilateral multi-trade agreements and the impact of trade war in the liberalized economy. So all these three small topics can be covered in 1 hour session. By this week I'll be able to finish with the unit 2 and we'll move on to unit 3 hopefully in the next week. Any questions from anyone so far? आपको
अभी ना आज के
आज मैं बताता हूँ, लेट मी ट्राई टू एक्सप्लेन। किसी भी शेयर का प्राइस कुछ फैक्टर्स की वजह से ऊपर नीचे जाता है। पहला तो कंपनी की इमेज, दूसरा कंपनी के कुछ डिसीजंस जिसकी वजह से कंपनी को कुछ प्रॉफिट हो सकता है, या कंपनी का एक्सपेंशन डिसीजन, मर्जर डिसीजन, एक्विजिशन डिसीजन, इसकी वजह से कंपनी के शेयर फ्लक्चुएट होते हैं। इंटरनेशनल मार्केट में कुछ उतार चढ़ाव आना, उसकी वजह से, उन फ्लक्चुएशंस की वजह से भी आपका स्टॉक एक्सचेंज पे आप देखेंगे इंडाइसेस पे रेट्स फ्लक्चुएट होते हैं। एंड फाइनली इट इज द डिमांड एंड सप्लाई। बेसिक प्रिंसिपल इसका यही है, शेयर का डिमांड बढ़ेगा। कब बढ़ेगा? जब ये सारे फैक्टर्स उसके फेवर में होंगे। डिमांड बढ़ेगा तो उसका प्राइस भी बढ़ेगा। स्टार्टिंग में आईपीओ आता है, आईपीओ इज कॉल्ड एज इनिशियल पब्लिक ऑफर। उसमें एक प्राइस बैंड दिया जाता है, इन्वेस्टर को बोला जाता है, प्रोस्पेक्टिव इन्वेस्टर को, कि यू हैव टू सब्सक्राइब टू दिस पर्टिकुलर आईपीओ। आपका बिडिंग करिए, एक प्राइस बैंड दिया जाता है जिसको बोला जाता है फ्लोर प्राइस एंड सीलिंग प्राइस। मतलब एक शेयर का फेस वैल्यू 10 रुपए है तो 150 टाइम्स ऑफ द फेस वैल्यू वो हो जाएगा उसका सीलिंग फ्लोर प्राइस, दैट इज 150 रुपीज। और 300 टाइम्स ऑफ द फेस वैल्यू दैट कुड बी 300 रुपीज। तो 150 से 300 रुपीज के बीच में आपको इसकी बिडिंग करवाई जाती है। बिडिंग होने के बाद सब्सक्रिप्शन होता है। कई बार कुछ कंपनीज के शेयर्स आईपीओ आने के बाद 3 टाइम 4 टाइम 5 टाइम सब्सक्राइब हो जाते हैं। उसके बाद कंपनी डिसाइड करती है किसको प्रेफरेंशियल अलॉटमेंट करना है। उसको जो कैपिटल रेज होता है उसको बोला जाता है सब्सक्राइब कैपिटल। जो भी शेयर्स कंपनी को देने थे और जो इन्वेस्टर ने सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया उसको बोला जाता है अनसब्सक्राइब कैपिटल। फर्दर कंपनी को परमिशन लेनी होती है सेबी से, गवर्नमेंट से, आरबीआई से, और फिर वो एक और प्रोस्पेक्टस लेके आते हैं जिसको बोलते हैं रेड हेरिंग प्रोस्पेक्टस। और रेड हेरिंग प्रोस्पेक्टस के थ्रू ग्रीन शू ऑप्शन लेके आते हैं जिसमें कि एग्जिस्टिंग सब्सक्राइबर को एक अपॉर्चुनिटी दी जाती है कि आपको और शेयर्स लेने हैं क्या, अगर नहीं लेने तो आप दूसरे के नाम पे सजेस्ट कर सकते हैं। तो ये पूरा शेयर मार्केट जो है, दिस जस्ट नॉट वर्क ऑन द इंडाइसेस, इट आल्सो वर्क्स ऑन द सेंटिमेंट्स, it also works on the information, it also works on the growth, it also works on the turbulence, and it also works on स्टार्ट किया। कंपनी है बर्कशायर एंड हैथवे, इसमें इनकी जो शेयर प्राइस है ये स्ट्रॉन्ग क्यों हो रही है? बिकॉज ये कंपनी जो है, ये कंपनी किसी कंपनी में इन्वेस्ट करने से पहले उस कंपनी के सारे फाइनेंशियल्स को रीड करती है, उस कंपनी का सारा पास्ट रिकॉर्ड देखती है जिस तरीके से कुंडली देखा जाता है। और यही एक वजह है कि इन्वेस्टर्स को भरोसा है कि वॉरेन बफे की कंपनी जहां भी इन्वेस्ट करेगी वहां उनका लॉस नहीं होगा। जब इन्वेस्टर्स को ट्रस्ट होता है तो इन्वेस्टर उस कंपनी के शेयर को खरीदते हैं, और जब इन्वेस्टर को ट्रस्ट नहीं होता तो सत्यम का केस जैसा आपके सामने था वैसा होता है। क्लियर हुआ?
यस सर।
ओके, सो शैल वी कंक्लूड हियर नाउ?
यस सर।
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you everyone. Thank you. Bye bye.
थैंक यू सर।
Thank you, sir.